I spent 8 years building my family's restaurant. When my brother stole it from me, nobody believed my side of the story. Now they're begging for a second chance, but it's too late. I was 24 when my father handed me the keys to a rundown diner on the edge of town. The place was falling apart. The roof leaked every time it rained, half the booths were broken, and the kitchen equipment looked older than I was. My older brother Ryan wasn't interested in helping. He said restaurant work was beneath him. He was busy chasing business ideas that never lasted more than a few months. So I worked. I opened at 5 every morning and closed after midnight. I learned how to cook, manage inventory, repair equipment, and balance the books. I missed birthdays, holidays, and weekends with friends. Slowly, the diner turned around. Customers returned, reviews improved, revenue doubled. Everyone praised my father for owning such a successful business. Nobody mentioned the son who actually ran it. Then Dad got sick. While he was recovering from surgery, Ryan suddenly appeared every day. He sat in meetings, talked to suppliers, and acted like he'd been involved all along. 3 months later, my father called me into his office. Ryan was already sitting there. "We've decided Ryan should take over management," Dad said. I thought he was joking. Ryan couldn't even tell you where we kept the flour, but he had convinced Dad that the business needed real leadership. I argued for hours. It didn't matter. The paperwork had already been signed. The next week, I was fired from the restaurant I'd spent nearly a decade building. My mother told me not to make a scene. My aunt said family should stick together. Even my cousins claimed I was overreacting. According to everyone else, Ryan deserved a chance. So I left. I moved 2 hours away and took a job managing a small food truck. The pay wasn't great, but I knew restaurants. Within a year, sales tripled. The owner noticed. He made me a partner. 2 years later, we opened a second location, then a third, then a permanent restaurant downtown. By year 5, I owned 40% of a growing local chain. Meanwhile, Ryan's management was destroying the family diner. He cut staff to save money. He ignored maintenance. He replaced popular menu items with cheaper ingredients. Customers stopped coming. One afternoon, I saw a social media post announcing the diner was being auctioned off. Bankruptcy. I stared at the listing for almost an hour. Then I made a call. The auction happened 3 weeks later. Nobody knew I was bidding through a representative. The final price was surprisingly low. When the paperwork cleared, I became the owner of the diner I'd built from the ground up. Again, I spent 6 months renovating everything. New kitchen, new dining room, new sign, new staff. On reopening day, there was a line around the block. Local newspapers covered the event. The story spread quickly. That's how my family found out. My father showed up first, then my mother, then Ryan. They stood in the parking lot staring at the building. Ryan looked shocked. "You bought it?" he asked. "I did. This should still belong to the family." I laughed. "It does." "What?" "I am the family member who built it." Nobody had a response. My father finally stepped forward. "We made mistakes." I nodded. "You did. We want to help." "No." My mother started crying. Ryan looked angry. Dad looked defeated. For years, I dreamed about hearing those words. The apology. The admission that they were wrong. But standing there, I realized something. I didn't need it anymore. The diner was full. Customers were laughing. Employees were busy. Life had moved on. I thanked them for coming and wished them well. Then I went back inside.